Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to check the FlySky FRM302 2.4 GHz long-range radio transmission module. In this video I'm going to go over its features, show you how to set it up on both FlySky and non-FlySky radio controllers, measure its output strength, and show you how to bind it with the FlySky FTR16S radio receiver. As for a range test, it is going to be up in the next 2 weeks, so stay tuned. First of all, in terms of specs, just like the TBS Crossfire, FlySky R9 and the Skydroid systems, the FlySky FRM302 integrates a LoRa transceiver module. It is compatible with the standard JR module bay, and in case you're using the FlySky Paladin radio controller, you will need to purchase a JR module bay adapter. Its output power can be configured to 25, 100, 500, 1000 and 2000 milliwatts. It features the new AFHDS 3 protocol that was recently introduced with the FlySky Paladin radio controller. Its DC input voltage is between 5 to 28 volts, and it can be powered both internally or externally using an XC30 battery connector, which is going to be required if you are going to use output powers which are greater than 100 milliwatts. The radio module is using an RPSMA antenna connector. A simple 2.4 GHz antenna is included, and if you'd like, you can purchase a more advanced one separately. Inside its plastic case, you can find a pretty big heatsink and a fan that is going to be automatically turned on when the internal temperature of the module is going to reach 45 degrees Celsius. On the bottom of the module, you can find a micro USB port that will enable you to update its firmware using dedicated software. And finally, it supports both UART and PPM modes. So when you're going to use this module with the FlySky radio controller, you'll be able to set it up using the software of the radio controller, and the mode is going to be set to UART. And when using it with non-FlySky radio controllers, the mode is going to be set to PPM, and the latency is going to be higher in comparison to UART mode, and setting up the radio module is going to be done using this dedicated button. In order to use the FRM302 module with the FlySky/Underground FPV Rest in Peace Nirvana radio controller, you will need to first update the radio controller to the latest available firmware using a dedicated software, which is currently unfortunately only available for PC. It will require you to remove these 2 hex screws, and then in order to enter the FU mode, press the boot button, which is located inside the screw thread, while connecting the radio controller using the micro USB port to your computer. Then open the NV14 updater tool on your computer. Select the Flash AFHDS 3 option and hit the Start Update button. And finally download the new SD card image and copy all the files to the micro SD card of the radio controller. After flashing the new firmware, now we'll be able to set the FRM302 module. Inside the model setup menu, under External RF, now you'll be able to set the mode to AFHDS 3. You'll be able to set the radio protocol. The status is now shows connecting because no radio receiver is bound to the module. The power source is currently set to internal. The mode is set to unicast/telemetry, and that's something that you can change after binding a new receiver. By default, the channel range is set to 1 to 14, and if you'd like, you can set it to up to 1 to 18, and keep in mind that if the channel range is going to be lower, the latency is going to be reduced. In addition, you'll also be able to customize the RX frequency. Set the failsafe option either to hold, and then the last values are going to be kept, no pulses, or you can also define custom values. Pressing the bind button will enable you to bind the radio module with the radio receiver, and as you can see, you have 2 options, unicast/telemetry and multicast. In case you would like to bind the radio module with a single radio receiver at a time and get the telemetry data, select the unicast/telemetry option, and in case you would like to bind it with multi-radio receivers simultaneously without getting the telemetry data, select the multicast option. Finally, you can set the output power to one of these options, and keep in mind that if you would like to select the 500 mW or 1 or 2 watt options, you will need to power the radio module externally. In order to use the FRM302 module with a non-FlySky radio controller, make sure that under External RF, the PPM option is selected, and now you'll be able to set up the module using this button. A slowly flashing blue LED indicates that a receiver is not bound, and once a receiver is connected, the LED is going to turn solid green. Setting up the output power is done by long pressing the button for 3 seconds, and you can toggle between the different output power options by short pressing the button once the yellow LED is flashing. When the yellow LED flashes once, it indicates that the output power is set to 25 milliwatts. When it flashes twice, it indicates that the output power is 100 milliwatts, and so on. You should note that even though when an external battery is not connected, you'll still be able to set the output power to 500 milliwatts, however, the actual output power will still be 100 milliwatts. In addition, after powering up the module externally, you'll be able to set the output power to 1 watt and also to 2 watts. In order to save the output power, long press the button again for 3 seconds. Once the radio receiver is connected, you will be able to set the failsafe options. First, you will need to put all the sticks and knobs in your desired configuration, and for example, in most of the cases, you would want to put the throttle all the way down. Then when you're done, press the configuration button for 10 seconds. A rapid flashing blue LED is going to indicate that the failsafe settings were successfully saved. As for entering binding mode, simply power up the module while pressing this button. Now let's measure the output power of the module. When it is set to 25 mW, I'm getting about 21 mW, and the current draw is about 30 mA. When it is set to 100 mW, I'm getting about 90 mW, and the current draw is 80 mA. On 500 mW, I'm getting about 450 mW, and the current draw is 0.21 ampere. On 1 watt, I'm getting about 900 mW, and the current draw is 0.4 amperes. And finally, when the output power is set to 2 watts, I'm getting about 1.9 watts, and the current draw is about 0.65 amperes. Now let's quickly check the FlySky FTR16S, which is the most compatible AFHDS 3 radio receiver, at least at the moment of shooting this video, for a racing drone. In terms of packaging, along with the radio receiver, you are getting the user manual, a heat shrink, and 5 8 cm long silicone wires. And in terms of specs, the radio receiver weighs 1.2 grams. Its outer dimensions are 12 by 20 by 2.9 mm. It supports telemetry and its output power is 100 mW. It supports up to 16 channels, both PPM and IBAS signals. Its latency is rated to be under 20 milliseconds. Its input power is between 3.5 to 8.4 volts, and as far as I understand, it supports over-the-air updates. On the radio receiver, you can find 5 pads. The ground pad is located over here, and the VCC pad over here, so I really like that they keep things separated. In addition, between them, you can find the sensor pad, the IBAS pad, and the PPM pad. In order to enter binding mode, power up the radio receiver while pressing the delicate bind button, which I don't recommend to press using a sharp object. And the rapidly flashing green LED is going to indicate that the radio receiver is in binding mode. Now, in case you're using the FRM302 radio module in PPM mode, power it up while pressing the configuration button. And as you can see, the LED indicators on both radio module and radio receiver turned solid green, which indicates that the binding procedure was successful. Now I'm going to bind the radio receiver again in UART mode. So first, again, we need to enter binding mode by powering up the radio receiver while pressing the bind button. And now on the radio controller, we can head over to the module options, hit the bind button, select unicast/telemetry, and as you can see, the receiver was successfully bound. In addition, now in UART mode, unlike PPM mode, we are also getting the telemetry data back to the radio controller.
Telemetry lost.
This is, however, not a complete deal breaker in case you would like to use the FRM302 in PPM mode, because with the FTR16S radio receiver, for example, you are going to get the RSSI data on auxiliary 10. So what you can do in order to display the RSSI data on your OSD is to simply select auxiliary 10 as your RSSI channel. As for setting up the radio receiver on Betaflight, it is pretty simple. First, you will need to solder either the IBAS or PPM output pads on the radio receiver to a free RX pad on the flight controller. Then enable the CLRX option next to the UART port that you used. In the configuration tab, make sure that the serial-based receiver and IBAS options are selected in case you are using the IBAS output pad, and PPM RX input is selected in case you are using the PPM pad. And finally, under the receiver tab, make sure that all the sticks are working properly. According to FlySky, the maximum range of the FRM302 module when used with the FTR16S radio receiver is about 60 km, which is very impressive and also similar to the maximum range of the TBS Crossfire system. And based on its specs and my initial experience using it, I can tell you that it's probably a good option in case you are already invested in the FlySky system, and also in case you are limited to the 2.4 GHz band and you can't use the 900 MHz frequency due to regulations in your country. Otherwise, as far as I can tell, in case you already have a non-FlySky OpenTX radio controller, the TBS Crossfire system is going to be a better option. Of course, I still need to test it outdoors, so stay tuned for the range test video. As always, I thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it and you find it useful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section down below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notifications bell if you're not already subscribed. See you on my next videos, and goodbye.